Hi, in this video we'll be building a new Etch website with what might be my favorite approach to building with Etch right now. So basically, before building anything, we need to have a design. And right now, for me, my favorite way to design new website is with tools like Claude Code, or in my case, OpenDesign, not Claude Code, but Claude Design. I love OpenDesign, and with that, I designed this. Let me show you that this hypothetical construction company website, and we will be utilizing our local WP starter to build this website from scratch. This website was built with just vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It has like PEM conventions included, etc. It's not using ACSS, so we'll be building our own mini framework for that. We'll see how it will catch up and how easy it would be to recreate the whole website. This website was also designed for me by me with the idea that it should include some CPTs, some custom fields. So I want to see how easy it will be for our local WP starter to include those in our website. So when we are ready to deploy, everything is done for us. So let's dive into it. We will need to start with building a new website in local WP. We're gonna go from the blueprint. We'll use the blueprint that construction website, and it will build it. I'll cut here. I'll basically want to make the video as short as possible, so I will be cutting whenever there's an opportunity for that. All right, so website is ready. Remember, for local WP starter to work correctly with local WP websites, we need to trigger a side shell. As soon as it's ready, we can turn it off. Go to the WP admin, see what's there, and I deactivated ACSS. Let's delete it. We can update Etch, why not? And last demo for onboarding I was doing with Grok harness, so let's try something different. Let's use Codex this time. We are here. Let's try build a new project with it. Yeah, we have new project over here. Let's trigger it. Let's see how it will work. I set it up on high. I don't think it's needed, to be honest. Maybe we'll change it to like medium. Or let's see. If we're gonna be annoyed with how long everything takes because GPT will think it through way too heavily, it's not so complicated to build websites, right? Then we'll maybe change it back to medium or even light, etc. Because when you're used to doing things with extremely fast models, or you're using like Fireworks API, which are bizarrely fast but expensive, and then you might be used to a different speeds. Most of the time, I'm personally opting in for better results versus speed. So let's see how fast it will do. Okay, it told us that there are some available local sites. We want to build a construction demo. Yeah, local WP construction demo. A short build brief. We'll be rebuilding this source website I built with Etch. And the source website, we can just take this path so it has all of the knowledge. We can tell it maybe like no-ACSS. We'll build our own mini framework for it based on the source ACF for CPTs and custom fields, OMIDE for facets. Enter and let it scaffold a project for us based on our very brief. Okay, and the agent's finished. It's the project is scaffolded. We can check it out on our actual environment, and we can see the starter homepage got attached to our WPN WP local WP website. So we are good to go. The great thing if we're working with Codex, for example, is that we can also add here a browser. So in the future development, we can check the next steps of the development straight in the Codex browser. So maybe later we'll be able to quickly add notes to it. I love working with Codex. It's definitely my favorite harness there is. But okay, let's start building. I think the best way to build with local WP starter is starting from CMS when we're building an actual correct website. So we know that there's gonna be some opportunities for CPTs, for custom fields. So let's ask agent to figure out what we exactly need, because maybe we'll miss something that it wouldn't. So okay, perfect. Let's start. I will maybe try to make it bigger for you as well here. Yeah. So you see everything I'm writing. I think, yeah, on the preview it looks fine right now. Okay, perfect. Let's start with building CMS that data structure. Let's plan what CPTs, what taxonomies and custom fields we'll need for this project. You know what? First thing first. Perfect. Let's initiate the Git repo and create a init commit for the project. As you know, with the local WP starter, we are creating multiple projects in the same directory. So it's perfect that we can create different, like maybe branches for different projects, etc. Everything that we can utilize Git for. I will just try to keep consistent with commits on every steps, so we can always go back to some place, or from some location we are currently in the project, we can always branch out to different branches and experiment with different ideas. Where should the initial commit be created? Yes, nested. Perfect. It will initiate the repo for us, and we'll be good to go. And then you can store all of those projects on GitHub if you want, or anywhere else. Oh yeah, we were in the plan mode for as simple task as initiating Git repository. So let's not even read the plan. We sure it was correct. I was just in the plan mode for the next part. Yeah. Okay, and agent finished our initial repo, so we can go back to planning our actual implementation of CMS. Let's plan what CPTs, taxonomies, and custom fields we'll need for this project based on the source. And I think we're good to go with just that information for it to plan. We can chat it for ourselves. We sure there's gonna be a project CPTs. I think there should be a testimonial CPTs. We can see in about, there's also probably an opportunity for team members CPT. Let's see if agent's gonna figure it out correctly. And we have first question: how editable should non-project marketing content be in WordPress? Make case studies fully CMS driven. Keep service values, services, values, teams, and contact copy coded. Yes. Everything CPT. Create for projects, service, team members, testimonials, and more. So it gives us option for basically projects or everything. I think the perfect middle ground is for what we said: projects, team members, and testimonials. We're still in the loop. We still have power to think and decide for ourselves while we're building. let's not blindly follow everything. Yeah. For the initial CMS, which source project should become real? Yeah, let's put all of them. So it was asking us, I think, about should it seed all of the demo projects we provided? And I think, why not? It's very easy later to delete them, but it also would be very easy for you to, for example, showcase to the client the work with full-on blown CMS project inside of it, where you'll be able to like showcase if facet works correctly, because those have different taxonomy terms, etc. So I think it's fine. Should team members have their own public single arc? No, yeah, and that's a great question from the agent. Very detailed. It understands how broad WordPress is, and that yes, team members and testimonials don't have a dedicated archive and single templates, so they shouldn't be exposed. Should the CMS support in the first build? Type, location, and field. Which project facets should the CMS support in the first build? I think we can skip it for now, or let's just be straight here. We see here that those are only types, as in source, just a type term. Type, just a project type taxonomy. So I actually really enjoy working with Codex because it actually looks for an important questions to ask for you for that would defined on the actual state. To be honest, with this example, we see that source website correctly gives us the answer to that. So it only exposed the taxonomy for project types. So I don't think it really should bother with this complicated question, but I think it also just fine, and we can see what it will give us. We can check our implementation plan right now. We can see we have project has correct set of custom fields, even with a repeater and a gallery field. So that's great. So I'm not seeing anything that should be updated. Let's just implement this plan. All right, and the agent finished, so we can check out WordPress admin to see how it worked, how it did it. We have projects. Project has all the projects inside of them. We can see that they are using post content. We can see that they have all of the correct custom fields with the repeater, with the gallery field here, even with the related projects already selected with the relation field. The featured image, perfect, and taxonomies attached. So even here, how much time have we just saved? Like, how much time would it take for us to create all of those custom fields, all of those CPTs, custom taxonomies, populate correct posts with correct data for us to have a nice workflow later? So I think it's extremely valuable when it comes to how much time we save with this workflow. And just as a best practice, perfect. Let's commit. So I think it's a good idea to start with just building the homepage, for example, because it will give us all of the details if the agent did the correct work, etc. And after we're gonna have a finished homepage, it should be very easy for the agent later to build the rest of the website based on the assumptions of the ideas we had while building the homepage. So if there's gonna be some bugs, some errors while designing the homepage, we're gonna be very able to iterate extremely quickly about it, and then we're just gonna finish the website later. Perfect. So let's start with the plan. All right, let's plan the first step of implementation. We'll start from recreating a homepage and the index template. For that, I think we'll need our mini CSS framework based on the source. Let's see what we have on the homepage. So I think this should be like header and footer obviously should be components, and maybe we can ask it also for the project card to be component. Header, footer, and probably project card should be components. Project card is in projects loop, so we might need loop presets for those. That sounds great. And so mini framework for tokens, etc. Tokens and utilities, and rest of the classes correctly on blocks. And we want to use BEM. Use BEM for everything. Yeah. We want to use BEM. I don't think it's a great idea to like force the idea of BEM on every project. BEM is just one of the many like frameworks for writing CSS. It's not objectively better or worse than any others. They're different ideas, different. So I wouldn't force anyone to build in any particular way. But for this demo, let's build with BEM. Why not? Right, and we have a plan to check. So let's implement this plan, and we're gonna enter the first part of actual implementation of the website. And let's go. As agent works, we can see how easy it is with our starter to inspect and later edit even by yourself inside of the code base specific styles, for example, because every piece that can store CSS semantically can be grouped together. And basically, for example, here we have something that looks like a component level styling. It's actually then later attached to specific blocks in this inside of this component, because Etch still doesn't support component level styles for some reason. But I think this is a very nice way to handle and organize styles inside of your project. So this way we have a class for a project card where you are using very nicely organized PHP builders float methods to build your structure. We can see like element block. So this is our card that is a link. And of course, you don't need to write them by hand. Those days are over, but they are extremely easy to read. Everything is clear, what is what. And then the styles are nicely organized for you to tweak around later, even by yourself. So that's all very easy. And it finished the first iteration. We can see that it created basically a correct structure, but the styles doesn't match from the source. So we are not happy about it, definitely. And this is basically what we need to tell it, like to be precise in the next iteration. The structure seems fine, but the styles are completely off from the source website. We can even give it the exact path if it needs to. Doesn't match the well, let's take a screenshot for him. Why not? Yeah, doesn't match the current state at all. Don't try to imagine the styling. You have all the sources in the source code. Use it in the source website code base. Use it. And I think it should be just fine. But of course, that's the iteration. This is why we also wanted to start with the actual homepage. Let's start it. And not, for example, the whole website at one shot. But in the meanwhile, we can, for example, investigate the backend of it, see how well it's structured, the design. Yeah, though yes, we are using all of the correct hero BEM classes, everything is correctly labeled. We are using loop, for example, for our cards. So as you can see, it even created projects loop with the loop arguments. So that's amazing. And lovely that it used it. So with that, we can check the project card. Yes, it uses the image URL. So we can also tell it later to use, instead of that, to use the media ID, because we want the dynamic data. So instead of it's targeting the image URL, it should target image ID on the media prop. It also used, I think, URL prop that isn't supported by Etch, so we want to correct it on that as well. But first, let him finish, because he should be doing a bigger refactor right now. So let him do the work. I think what it did is that in the source file, I didn't give it the exact information of which version of the source file did. So I was building a few different designs there, and it might be that it just took an incorrect example from there. So that's kind of funny, actually. Let's hope that it's gonna be just fine right now. So yet again, even though the agent did a sort of a mistake, it was actually kind of our fault that the mistake occurred. And the agent finished, and we can see that after just one additional iteration, it's a perfect replica of our sourced website. Yeah, everything is correctly rendered. Nothing, of course, else is prepared, because we didn't opt in for that yet. But because we have right now a great fundamentals built on top of our homepage, let's check them over here. We will also provide this guidance for images that we discovered previously, but we can see that everything is perfectly nicely written inside of the CSS, etc. Everything is responsive, so we should be good to go. So before we're gonna just prompt it to finish website, just finish everything, we can give it the last few additional clues that we discovered during checking the process. And let's just give it annotation. I love this UI in Codex. So here for image, use image ID instead of URL, and link it to media ID. So we are using correct dynamic image source, and use text prop for URL. Perfect. It correctly, for example, used raw content here instead of the regular content. So that's amazing. Like, it's an extremely powerful workflow for a like responsible, scalable building experience, and I love it. I really, really like it. And I hope you will too. So let it cook. Those are the final touches before we're just gonna throw the goal prompt for it to finish the rest of the work. How's the responsiveness here? It works. It created its own mobile menu component. Yeah, I didn't even prompt it to use OMIDE Etch navigation component. I won't be even using it for this project. I just gonna be using OMIDE Etch Facets inside archive templates, because I think often when you don't need to use additional abstraction layer, with whichever is it, a CSS framework, components library, anything where someone from the outside will pushing you to use a specific tool set, if you can just build your own tools, why not? I'm telling that because I'm very confident that it's gonna be very, like, it's possible for you to, for example, recreate OMIDE Facets system or OMIDE WooCommerce, but it's not worth it. Trust me, the amount of hours I spent on that, it's not worth it. But building a just UI component with the basic client level interaction, like a navigation menu, even like mega menus or sliders, etc., it might be easier for you to just build it yourself, like while working in this environment, because you can just build it and create a component for yourself this way. All right, let's see if it's correctly updated it. Everything's work here, so I'm confident that it's correct, but let's be sure. Let's check it out here, because this is our last like moving piece of trivia that we want to be sure is correctly implemented. Let's check our images. Perfect. Image is provided. It has a correct image prop, even URL is converted to a text prop correctly. We are good to go. So perfect. Let's commit this. So we have a solid starting point. Yeah, even if we would break everything at this time, we always would be able to come back to this moment and change it. Yeah, and right now let's YOLO it out a little bit more, and let's create a goal. Yeah. Now, when we have a great starting point of index, template, and homepage, we can use its structure and practices of how we build it to build the rest of the website. We'll need projects archive template, project single template, pages for about and contact. For archive template, I want to use, and there's a dedicated skills for OMIDE Facets, yeah? Probably a radio facet for it. Remember to use class props for styling it. And to be honest, it might be just it. And it will work probably for around 15 minutes, 20 minutes. We're not sure. We'll check it out. It's 7:30 p.m. So we'll see how fast we'll go. I didn't started recording again. So the agent finished after 28 minutes of work for 25 minutes exactly here. Everything is done correctly. We can see that on the project page, we have correct facet system with OMIDE facets, so that's perfect. We have a single page. We can see that everything is here correctly for us. Everything here is done dynamically. We will double check when I first open it after it finished, but I wasn't recording. The spacing over here, the only thing that I found was that this spacing over here was none. So I came back here and said exactly that only this part requires additional input. It did just that. We can also see inside of the Etch how the dynamic linking is linked, if it's linked correctly everywhere. And basically, after that, in my opinion, the project is ready to ship. Yeah. Now let's just double check the important parts. So over here we have a single project template. Here we can see that we have all of the dynamic structure inside of the. Here it took project type at 0, so it even used Etch modifiers to correctly target a taxonomy for it. So that's amazing for the breadcrumbs. Here we have repeater field, so it created a loop for it, etc., etc. Like, let's go to the project's archive template. Over here, we'll see that we have everything's created correctly with OMIDE Etch components, facet target, radial list facet. It's an OME radial list facet component. For this, it created its own loop preset because it loops through the taxonomies. So it created this preset as well. Everything is done for us. The project is fully scalable. The project is fully correctly BEM classed, etc. Like, everything is how the professional Etch developer would do it himself, and it's just ready for you to roll with that. We can see a style sheet. It has a beautiful basic framework, because this is all that was needed. Some buttons, some defaults, some resets, and some token variables, because that's all we need. It used a link to fonts Google, of course. For your sake, on the live website, you would upload the fonts, change this URL to a local URL of your website, and that's it. And you're good to go. And I mean, look at this website. It's complicated, dynamic project, perfectly styled, scalable, dynamic, with filtering system included. Yeah, it has filtering system included. I don't know what more we can ask for. Beautiful single template, everything's done in around an hour, and it's good to go. That's it for this video. In the next videos, we're gonna be exploring the opportunity to rebuilding old websites, old bricks website that were using ACSS, and see how this workflow would go. We're also gonna be rebuilding some old Elementor websites and see how this workflow would go. So I think those workflows gonna have more steps, and the developers should be a little bit more careful, especially for agents to like figure out the good system to work from. And after that, as we could show here, the first homepage had one iteration, and then the full rest of the website with all of the templates also had one iteration about a single spacing. So this workflow is so convenient for a developer, and I just highly recommend for all of you to give it a try, to give it a go, and have fun. Subscribe for more videos, and see you in the next one. See you soon.